What's up, everybody? This is Magchop Kenny. Thanks for jumping on the third rail with me today. This is the Third Rail Radio Show where the power is. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first official show, The Third Rail, where the power is. I'm really excited about being here. This is the first time I'm doing my own show alone. I did have, obviously, my YouTube channel, and I had my own show there. I think the purpose of that channel was really more geared towards me reminding myself of what I wanted to do and things that I wanted to accomplish and how I accomplished them, and reminding myself about all of that stuff. But of everything that I've done, for those of you who don't know, my name is Kenny Ruiz. Everyone calls me Magchop, or they call me Magchop Kenny. I've been called worse, no, but I got into the entertainment industry as an artist, and I started my artwork. I started doing artwork as a child. I was always drawing. I got into graffiti as I was growing up, and I did a lot of crazy things growing up in Chicago, and then I ended up moving down to South Florida. I've always been an artist, but I never pursued it as a career. I was a very hardworking, like blue-collar guy, one of those guys. And I had a traumatic event in my life which changed the style of my art. And with that change came a whole world of like new possibilities, and it really opened a door and that I never knew I could open. And so I've taken my artwork and I've been in galleries. I've taken my artwork to fashion shows and been on some runways around the nation. And I've even taken my artwork and put it in movies as memorabilia, which was a big goal of mine when I started my business. But the really, really strange thing is that I never pursued any of this stuff when I was younger. And then it wasn't a dream of mine. It wasn't something. But the one thing I did was radio. I did pursue it at one time. I was looking into it, trying to figure out how to get into it. And so I don't know what had happened, but I didn't pursue it anymore. And I really, really regretted it for a long time. So when I started Magchop and I started doing this business and taking this venture, which, believe me, we're going to get all into that. I'm going to tell you guys all about how all this came to be and how it started and where it came from. I really have to say that I got an opportunity to be on a radio show. And the first time that I did it, I was hooked. I knew I wanted to be on radio. I knew I wanted my voice out there. I thought it was so cool. Growing up in Chicago, I used to listen to these radio show in the morning, and they had like these crazy antics. They would do like cold water wake-up calls. And I used to work, like I said, I was a blue-collar guy. There was a lot of driving involved, so I would listen to radio shows, different personalities that I would listen to. And there was even one time where I was in a restaurant one time, and the person who I listened to their show was behind me. And I heard their voice, and I turned around, and I was like, hey, you're this person. And they're like, yeah. And it was really cool. So I knew that was something I wanted to pursue, was something I wanted to get into. And so when I started my YouTube channel, I started it with the purpose of trying to remind myself who I am, what I'm doing. And if anyone does happen to stumble upon it, I would hope that it would motivate them and get them going in the direction they would want to be in, or that they're pursuing. And so that was the main focus of it. It was clearly that. And so then I got to be a guest and ended up being a co-host on the 6 Pro radio show. And we had a really amazing time. It was really a great experience for me to learn about radio and how things work and the behind the scenes stuff and watch it all go on. But I knew I was hooked. I knew I wanted to do this again. We took a hiatus that never ended up coming back. Everybody kind of was doing their own thing. And so I was given the opportunity to come up with a show. And I said, I have to do this. And so I thought about, what is it that if I have a show, what would be the premise of my show? It's not going to be the same as my YouTube channel, because that's a different reason that I was doing it. And so I loved what we had in the 6 Pro, and the camaraderie that we had, and I love the ability to just talk about anything and joke about anything. And so I like to joke. So my purpose with this show is going to be, I want you guys to have a good time. I want you to laugh. I want you to take your mind off of all the regular things that go on in your life and be able to just chill and listen to some fun conversation. there's a lot of useless information I know, so I'm going to share that with you so you come out of this with some kind of like educational purpose or something. You're going to learn something. It might be useless, but you're going to learn it. And the other thing is to motivate you. I definitely want to stick with that part of it. I've overcome a lot in my life, and I want to be able to bring people on here that have also overcome a lot. I have a lot of celebrity friends, but I also have people that are regular living a daily life, not in the entertainment industry, who have some amazing stories that I want to bring them on as well. So if you have somebody that you know overcame something really amazing, good or bad, that they were able to get through it, because sometimes there's some really good things that happen and you don't know how to handle it, which way to go. And so that is a learning curve in itself, is like to not self destruct. And believe me, I'm the king of that. So, I wanted to bring this show to you guys and be able to say, hey, listen, we're going to talk about all kinds of cool things. I'm going to have a lot of cool people on here. We're going to talk about all the aspects of life that we deal with on a daily basis, but without the craziness that a lot of the other shows get into. I want to have fun. I want you guys to have fun. We're going to have really good time with this show. So let's get into it. First thing I want to talk about is how I ended up calling this show The Third Rail. So I'm a former graffiti artist from Chicago, and so we always knew when we were running in those tunnels, don't touch that third rail because that's where the power is. And so when I say thanks for jumping on the third rail with me, please do not take it seriously. I don't want anyone encouraged to go jump on the third rail. You really don't want to do that. So I feel like that's where the power is, and there's so much power there that it can move a train, but it can also stop a heart. So I just feel like that was the appropriate name of the show. So that's where the third rail comes in. It's a subway thing. For those of you who are not from a big city that has a subway, I'm sorry. Glad I could teach you about third rails now. The other thing I want to talk about is the graffiti itself, the art of graffiti. I love graffiti. It's always been a passion of mine. I grew up seeing it everywhere and then being able to be a part of it. And, as bad as it is, yes, it's illegal and it's wrong. When you're an artist and you look at your piece and it's done, it's a beautiful feeling to be able to say like, wow, I created that. And so for me, after moving out of Chicago, I came down here and my art changed. I still was doing graffiti, but my art changed. And then when my mother passed away, my art completely changed. I no longer could draw. And so I started doing collage art. And this is where the name Magchop comes from, because I chop up magazines to do my art. So these are all the little things that you're going to learn about. There's a lot of little quirks to me about my website and everything. There's a lot of little hidden gems. I have reasons behind everything, and we're going to have a lot of fun as you guys learn them about me. And we're going to find out how many guests that I can get on that we can get them to give up one of their weird little secrets, because everybody has one. Everybody definitely has one. So one of the secrets that I'm going to tell you right now is, if you go to magchop.com, that is my website, and there's where you can find out so much more about me. But if you go on there, as soon as it opens up, it says you've arrived. There's actually a reason for that. And I'm not going to tell you this show why it's there. I want someone to tell me why it's there. So if you can imagine and figure out why it says you've arrived, there's a reason. It's a movie reference, is all I'll give you a clue on. Tell me which movie that's from, and I will send you a mug. I will send you a Magchop mug if you can get it right. All right? So you're going to submit to, I want you to send it to magchop@yahoo.com, Magchop @yahoo.com. I want you to submit your answer, and then if there's a bunch of them right, I'm going to put them in a hat, and I'm going to pick it out of a hat, and I'll do it right. I'll do it right here live on the show. It'll be fun. It's going to be a good time. So, next thing. I want to really break into the art world. I want to tell you guys about the art world in this show, because I've had to learn a lot about the art world as an artist coming up. After I changed my artwork from drawing and graffiti, it went to collage art, which was a whole nother level. It was a whole nother experience, because it's not always the most popular medium, and a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people associate collage art with like children's work and things like that. And I've had people actually call me out and be like, I can't believe you're charging this much for your art. My 6-year-old could do it. I had a guy who was really upset at me about this. Like, he was really upset. I never met the guy, knew nothing, but he emailed me. And so I messaged him, and as much as I wanted to go in on him, I just was simple, and I was just like, hey, listen, it's not for everybody, but since you think your 6-year-old can do it, I'd love to collaborate with him. And that's all I said, right? I got a message from this guy like 6 months later, and he's like apologizing to me. And he's like, listen, I tried to make a piece like yours. It didn't work. I've been trying for months, and it didn't work. And so to be able to have that experience and have somebody reach out to me first, dog me out, and then turn around and apologize and say, "Hey, listen, I was wrong about that." That felt really good, and it let me know where my art was as far as on the totem pole of the spectrum of art. I was really insecure about my art. Now, let me tell you, I'm sure a lot of artists will tell you they are their hardest critics, they're their worst critics. Everybody has these weird insecurities, and believe me, I own mine. And so one of them was the fact that it was magazines that I was chopping up, and there was people that have certain feelings, and so it was giving me that insecurity. But let me tell you, the reason I am so all about motivating people is to continue to chase their dreams, and I constantly talk about those things, is because of the fact that my art was once rejected from a gallery, and then I ended up in another gallery that was huge, 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 and they couldn't believe my artwork. They couldn't believe how I put these things together. And so there's a lot of times in your life where you might feel like something's going wrong and things ain't going the way you want them to go, or maybe you feel like you're not doing it right. Just stay consistent, keep doing it, and keep moving forward, because I'm telling you, I'm proof. And as the show goes on and I talk about the different things that I've experienced and just the obstacles that I've overcome just in the art world alone, to go from the art world and then to put my artwork on fashion. That was another step that I took. And so, but as I first introduced my artwork, I was doing it like tattoo conventions. You have to become like a grade A like networker hustler if you're starting a business or whatever you're doing. No matter what, you've got to become like the network king or queen. And I did that. And so then you have to look at what other people. I looked at what made other people successful. So one of the things was mugs. So I came out with a mug collection, but I didn't want to just do any mug collection. I wanted something a little bit special. So as I looked at different mugs, I went around to different styles, and I wanted something that was going to display my artwork in a beautiful way. And when I found these mugs, they're actually 15-ounce beer mugs. They're not coffee mugs. But let me tell you, you can drink coffee, hot chocolate. It's a great hot cocoa cup. They're 15 ounce. They're 15 ounces, and they got a big grip, like your hand fits right inside of there. And I was like, yeah, that's comfortable. It's a comfy mug. And so I wanted to do something special with them. And I was like, well, how do I make this special? How do I make this cool? And so I decided I'm going to put 7 of them in the collection. And then at the end of every year, I'm going to retire one and then introduce a new art piece, which makes me have to force myself to continuously make art. And my collages, let me tell you, they can take some time. They really can take some time, like months. So, if you got a project that you're working on, especially if you're an artist, let me tell you, you know what I'm talking about when you get these weird little artist blocks where you're working on a piece and it's like, I don't even know where I'm going from here. And then all of a sudden, like a month later, you're like, hey, I know where I'm going with this. So that is something that I got to tell you I struggle with. And I got to tell you, it's not only the art world. It's not like, this is something, as I've been building my business, I've been going from fashion to acting to movies and now radio. I can tell you that one of the coolest things about it is that you can associate this with everything with regular life. Like your employee, where you work at regular, like it's not in the entertainment industry. Like some people, you start off as a customer service rep, right, in this big company, and then all of a sudden you get moved up to maybe like lower management, then middle management, upper management. Before that, you're part of the corporate team. I look at everything, and as I'm building my business, as it's just like building another career. And so I went from the mugs, and I was like, what else can I do? And I went into like, okay, I'm going to take this to another level and make bathing suits, and then make activewear, and then swimwear, and for men and women. And so it's like I just keep taking these different curves. And so what I try to tell people is, don't worry about trying to focus on one thing only. Let the path take you. As you get on it, believe me, it's like a roller coaster ride. It's been so much fun, and I love to take people with me. So if you're around, and I invite you, come down, because the events are really cool. I have a lot of fun at them, and believe me, you will too. So I want you guys to enjoy this show as I bring guests on. I have a lot of really cool guests that have already hit me up about coming on my show. And let me tell you, when you hear some of the stories and meet some of these people, that's one of the biggest things that I love about everything that I've done so far, is really meeting people. People have so many different walks of life. There's so many different walks of life that people come from and they experience. And like, you hear people say, oh, this is common sense. And really, it's just not. There's no such thing. And I've had to learn that as I've navigated through all of this, as I've worked with all these different people, and I've met these people, and I learn about what they do and how they got there and the path that they took. And it's nothing like the path that I've been on. But then we end up in the same place, and it's really, really cool. So, as we get going with this show, believe me, you're in store for a lot. So let's take a quick break, go to commercial. We'll be right back.
Welcome to AMP2 TV, the first and only internet production company that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet radio, TV production company, discover AMP2 TV. AMP2 TV is a full-service media company that can provide all streaming videos, video studios, radio studios, and television studios. Call us today at 866-224-5422, for no business is too small to grow to be accounted. It's time for your message to be seen. Let AMP2 TV help get you there.
AMP2 Media Productions, in collaboration with True Oldies Radio and Comcast TV, bring you the opportunity to spotlight your business on Monday Night Football on ESPN. By targeting your preferred Comcast region, your commercial will be spotlighted during NFL and NCAA football season, reaching over 1 million viewers. Let AMP help you amplify your impact in the community. Contact us at 866-224-5422 to create your own commercial today. Being a successful woman in business means having the courage to own who you are. We understand the challenges faced by women, and we are here to help. Our team is here to develop the best strategy designed just for you. Your path is unique, and with the right tools, you can accomplish your dream. From radio to TV, from podcasting to magazines, we create the visibility to amplify your impact in business. At New Dawn Media, we are here to help bring your message forward and help your business flourish. It is time for your message to be seen and your voice to be heard. Contact us at 866-224-5422 or brooklyncafe.tv. Your voice can make a difference.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I almost want to sing that Welcome Back Kotter song whenever I do that. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what it was like moving from Chicago to Florida, because this was an experience on its own. First of all, I am a city slicker. I am from the inner city, Chicago, so there was a lot of running on the streets. There was a lot of, sirens everywhere. No matter where you are in the city, there's sirens going on. There's people walking. There's constantly, and everything's going on, right? And so to move down here to Florida, I moved to this cool little town called Pompano Beach. And let me tell you, this was quite an experience because there was so much nature. And so now when you come to Florida, there's a lot of iguanas running around here. This was not the case when I first moved down here. And I had never actually seen an iguana in person. So when I moved down here, I go to my cousin's house where I was staying at, and he had an iguana in a cage. And this thing was massive. It was named Rambo. And I remember the first time when I got down here, I moved down here as a teenager, and I was about 14 years old. And I remember seeing this thing, and I was thinking, where on earth did he get a dinosaur? I'd never seen an iguana before. I'm sure I'd seen one at the zoo before, but I don't remember it, and I'd never seen it that close where I felt like it can get to me. So it was that in itself was a trip. But then there was something really weird. In Chicago, wherever we were at, if we got thirsty, we could just open up somebody's water hose or whatever, and just drink out of the hose bib or out of the water hose, right? It was normal. We were on the street. We ran. Don't come home until the street lights come on. That's how I grew up, right? So now here I am, and my aunt tells me, she's like, hey, listen, you guys can't drink the water out of the water hose. If you do, you got to go to this special hose bib that's over here. And I'm like, well, what's going on? What's that all about? And she's like, hey, you see the sides of the house? It's well water. It's not good for you. It stains the houses brown. So I was like, man, you can't drink out of the water hose here? It was really strange. It had a funny smell to it. So all this stuff was like new to me. I'd never seen anything like this. I'm sure they have that like out in the suburbs in Chicago and, Illinois, whatever's going on down there. But I'd never gone there. So this was like really all new to me. So then I end up going over to the beach, because I was like, well, let's go to the beach. Again, Chicago's freshwater. Lake Michigan. So I ran into the ocean. I ran right out of the ocean. I was like, the water's spoiled here. This is spoiled, man. What's going on here? I didn't know what was going on here. So it was so bizarre because water had this taste. So I was like, okay, so this is salt water. This is supposed to taste like this. So I go back in. Would you not believe my first weekend in Florida, I got stung by a man of war. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's like a jellyfish, but to the third power. These stings are unbelievably painful. And so I'm running out of the water and I'm yelling out, something bit my leg off, because I was convinced. And I remember to this day, it's so fresh in my mind. I remember looking down, I was running because I was thinking, how am I running? My leg's got to be gone. You know what I mean? It's got to be gone. The amount of pain I was in. There happened to be 4 Miami UM students on the beach that night. And you can't make this stuff up. This is when I learned that people in Florida go on vacation in just other parts of Florida. And now that I've been here for so long, I do it too. So like, I know I'm a first class Floridian now, like, you know, but I'm still a Bears fan. Like, that's not going to change. That's just me. So here we go. They go and they take me over to this. Now, this is old school Pompano Beach. It's beautiful now. If you can go check it out. But you used to drive down Atlantic and the parking lot was right there. And then about 50 yards into was the beach, and they had this garbage can there. It was surrounded by coral rock. It was like really the nicest garbage can I had ever seen. And so we go over there, they pull me out, we sit down on this thing. It had a wood thing over it. They got my leg on it. I'm looking at all these dots on my leg, and the girl looks at me and says, listen, if I don't have white vinegar in my car, I'm gonna have to pee on your leg. And I'm like, what? So you gotta imagine, I'm like, what is going on here? What are these Florida people doing? Thank God they had vinegar, so none of that had to happen. But as they're sitting there cleaning my leg, and they're telling me, like, this is a really bad sting. Like, if it would have been any worse, I would be in the hospital. Like, they'd have to take me to the hospital. I'm thinking to myself, there's no blood at all. It's just brown dots and pain. And so as I'm sitting there, and they finally got the pain to reduce, out comes a palmetto bug. Okay, now, I'm from Chicago. We didn't name the bugs special little names. That was a roach. I had never seen a roach that big in my life. And I'm like, what is that? And it walked out. This thing walked out like, what y'all doing? Like, he wasn't even scared. He's like, what you doing? So he comes out, and he's just kind of walking around there. And they're like, oh, don't worry about him. And the girl swoops her hand over, and this thing takes off flying. And I remember looking at my mother, and I go, I can't live here. The roaches fly. I can't live here. I was like, no freaking way. I'm not doing this. Because listen, it don't matter how tough you are. That all goes away as soon as a roach flies. That's it. You're hitting the deck. I couldn't, and it was big, so it was massive, and it flew, like, I heard it fly away, and I was just like, oh, here we go. So in all the shock, we pack up our stuff, we go back to the house, and I'm sitting in the backyard. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm evaluating life at this point, because I thought my leg was going to be gone. Roaches fly. And on the fence walks a possum. And I don't remember possums looking like this. I remember sitting there looking at it. Now, if you guys have ever seen a Chicago sewer rat, they're massive. Like, some of them are the size of cats. It's ridiculous. They shouldn't be that big, and they are. And they're mean. Like, you could sit there and go like that to them, and they'll hiss at you. They're not running from you. Like, they got things to do too, as far as they're concerned. So I'm looking at this thing, and I'm thinking, my goodness, what is wrong with this rat? And I go, you guys, rats got cancer out here? And my cousin goes, no, it's a possum. So this was my experience here in Florida, the first weekend in Florida. And believe me, we're going to talk a lot more about that as the show goes on. I'm going to tell you guys everything that's happened to me, all the encounters with nature that I had down here that ended up ultimately sending me back to Chicago for a couple of years before I moved back. So stay tuned as more is to come from this show. I'm going to be bringing guests on. Thank you for being here with me today. You could have been anywhere, but you're here with me, and I really appreciate that. Have a good night.